Did Princess Diana know she was doomed? What really went down that night in Paris? And just who is Prince Harry's father? From the faintly silly to the downright outrageous, here's what some people still believe about the life and death of the People's Princess. By far the most infamous conspiracy surrounding Princess Diana's death is the one that claims she was intentionally killed.
We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident.
According to the official story, the Princess of Wales was involved in a fatal car crash on August 31, 1997, when the Mercedes she was travelling in crashed inside a tunnel in Paris. Diana, who was in the car with 3 others, had reportedly been trying to escape the paparazzi when she was killed. Due to the highly publicised circumstances of Diana's divorce from then Prince Charles, however, as well as the trouble it caused in royal quarters, not everyone was convinced that the tragedy was as straightforward as it seemed. Several supposed inconsistencies in the story have given rise to the notion that Diana's death was premeditated, including missing CCTV footage on the route from the Ritz Hotel to the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, and the suspiciously high levels of alcohol in driver Henri Paul's blood. Conspiracy theories claim that the killing was carried out by British intelligence services under the orders of the royal family. Unsurprisingly, MI6 has always denied this charge, while official investigations blamed Paul and the paparazzi for the incident. Interestingly, though, the father of one of the victims later emerged as one of the loudest voices challenging the official findings. Harrods owner Mohammed Al Fayed claimed that Diana's relationship with his son, Dodi Fayed, had threatened the reputation of the British monarchy, prompting the firm to have the couple killed.
85% of the ordinary people of this country believe Diana was murdered with my son.
Almost 30 years after that fatal car crash in Paris, conspiracy theories continue to persist that Princess Diana was pregnant at the time of her death. This theory surfaced soon after the tragedy and took on a life of its own over the years, complete with new narratives that were as conflicting as they were intriguing. Much of the input on the matter came from French authorities, who launched the initial investigations into Diana's death. In 2003, a top police officer with access to classified medical documents told The Independent that Diana was indeed carrying a child at the time of her death, pointing to what he described as a cover-up of sorts. Mohammed Al Fayed was also partly responsible for pushing this conspiracy theory, insisting that the couple themselves had called to inform him about Diana's pregnancy shortly before their deaths. He argued that the pregnancy was a key motive behind what he believed was a deliberate plot to kill Diana and Dodi. The credibility of the rumour came under question, however, when British authorities launched Operation Paget, an inquiry into the conspiracy theories surrounding the crash. In the first chapter of the official inquiry report, the burning question of Diana's alleged pregnancy was addressed and refuted, citing multiple sources. Nevertheless, that investigation has done little to quell the notorious theory that continues to stick to Diana's legacy. One of the most chilling conspiracy theories surrounding Princess Diana's death alludes to the idea Diana herself knew that her life was in danger. This theory ties in with a purported piece of evidence known as the Mishcon Note, a recording of an alleged conversation between the Princess of Wales and her lawyer Victor Mishcon, who was part of the legal team tasked with managing her divorce proceedings. During a meeting with Mishcon in 1995, Diana reportedly brought up the subject of her impending death and said, citing sources, that efforts were underway to get rid of her, something Mishcon apparently took note of in his documents. What's more, Diana seemed to have predicted the manner of her death with terrifying accuracy. She's even said to have mentioned a car crash. The infamous Mishcon Note was eventually relayed to the British police, who apparently took action to assess its validity, but it appears that conspiracy theorists found more value in it than investigators did. The idea that Diana knew what was coming is also rooted in a letter she allegedly wrote in October 1996, months before her death. The letter has been quoted in books written by both her former butler, Paul Burrell, and journalist Christopher Anderson. It reads, in part, "My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure and serious head injury in order to make the path clear for Charles to marry."
And what today's letter will do is simply give credence to the view that there was more to it than meets the eye, and we should have some form of formal investigation.
A look back at Princess Diana's life can never be complete without mentioning the rather contentious subject of James Hewitt. Hewitt is a former army officer with a decorated military tenure, but he's more famous for having once been Diana's lover. Their affair is scandalous enough as a standalone chapter in royal history, considering that it happened when Diana was still married to Prince Charles. But there's also a more shocking and arguably more ludicrous story attached to it. This long-held rumour contends that Prince Harry is actually Hewitt's son rather than Charles's. Much of this theory lies in the striking resemblance between Hewitt and Harry, a resemblance so uncanny that it has prompted conspiracy theorists to ignore the fact that the timelines don't match up at all. Harry was born in 1984, while Diana first met Hewitt in 1986. Nor has it mattered that Hewitt himself has refuted the claim.
Are you Harry's father?
No, I'm not.
Even Harry himself was affected by this rumour. In his book, Spare, he described it as sadistic and blamed the media for continuing to peddle it. Still, some people found it funny. Harry also wrote that Charles would joke the subject of his lineage, even once telling him, "Who knows if I'm even your real father? Maybe your real father is in Broadmoor, darling boy." From the moment Princess Diana entered the royal family, the press was all over her, digging into the deepest details of her life and helping shape her public persona. But it wasn't all one-sided. In 1997, some explosive revelations came to light concerning the inner workings of Diana's love-hate relationship with the British press. That year, it was widely reported that the Princess of Wales had possessed a clear understanding of the optics game, often using the media to manipulate her public image. Journalist Sir David English is quoted as saying, "It is an undisputed fact that the princess connived with the media and exploited it for her own interests, just as much as we exploited her for ours." Notwithstanding the popular narrative that she hated them, Diana shared an apparently symbiotic relationship with the press. She even went so far as to feed them information on occasion. In a 2014 court hearing, a former News of the World editor claimed to have received a confidential royal phone directory from Diana in the 90s, as she had wanted to tip the scales in her favour during the final days of her royal marriage. Princess Diana's private life became almost disturbingly public during the 1990s. Case in point, Squidgygate. This royal phone-tapping scandal exploded in 1992, when calls between Diana and her friend James Gilby were leaked by tabloids. The Sun was first to publish the calls, which recorded Gilby affectionately referring to the princess as Squidgy, giving the sensation its enduring name. Intense speculation soon arose surrounding the circumstances of the leak. One theory suggested that amateur radio enthusiasts had accidentally picked up the call's frequency, but many royal commentators believed that something more sinister was afoot. Years later, during Operation Paget, bodyguard Ken Worf alleged that British intelligence agencies had been involved in tapping her phone. He told a court, "It's my belief this internal recording was probably made by GCHQ." This refers to the government communications headquarters, which strongly denied his claims. However, Worf's testimony raised doubts over whether Diana's call was accidentally intercepted or whether it was deliberately put out there to be found. According to Diana's own staff, the princess's concerns about phone hacking went far beyond Squidgygate. In the months before her death, she was convinced that her phone had been bugged. Some theories even contend that American secret services had been involved in the alleged tapping of Diana's phone. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's decision to leave the British royal family and move to the US sent shockwaves around the royal world.
Home for me now is for the time being, it's in the States. And it feels that way as well.
Radical as it was, though, this was hardly an original thought. Decades before Harry's walkout, his mother had toyed with a similar idea, if certain accounts are to be believed. In the years before her death, Princess Diana apparently spoke consistently about her desire to start afresh across the Atlantic. In his book, Protecting Diana, A Bodyguard's Story, Diana's former security officer Lee Sansom recalled her saying, "There is nothing I can do in the UK. The papers there attack me no matter what I do." Diana's desperation to get away from her home country seems to have been an open secret among her immediate circle. Her brother, Charles Spencer, even alluded to it at her funeral in 1997. As it turned out, though, her children were the key reason why Diana never saw through her plan to migrate westward. Daily Mail correspondent Richard Kay, who was one of the princess's closest friends, has suggested that Diana's access to her sons might have been at risk if she took off. He explained, "They were young boys, and I don't think she had quite worked out how she could live in New York or California, for example, and maintain that close contact that she needed to have with William and Harry." Life inside the palace has always been tightly guarded. Every so often, though, sensational stories slip through the cracks. One of the more disturbing of these involves a secret recording Princess Diana supposedly made before her death. This notorious tape was reportedly part of a stash of Diana's belongings taken by her former butler Paul Burrell after her death. The contents are said to have documented alleged incidents of sexual assault within the royal household. According to Vanity Fair, the accuser was a male member of the royal staff who claimed to have been assaulted twice by an aide close to then Prince Charles. When the survivor recounted his ordeals to Diana, she apparently taped him without his knowledge. The existence of the the tape became public knowledge in the early 2000s, when Burrell was on trial for alleged theft of the late princess's items. Interestingly, though many of Diana's possessions were recovered, the supposed secret tape was never found. Authorities did still investigate the claims as part of a larger probe into Burrell's case, speaking to both the accuser and the accused, but there seems to have been no confession of assault. A royal spokesperson later stated, "I am not going to get into the detail of personnel handling, but I think you can rest assured there was no cover-up at all." Few rumours surrounding Princess Diana's final days have endured as much as the one concerning her supposed engagement to Dodi Fayed. Diana's romantic relationship with Fayed was one of the most significant in her life. It began in 1997, when she vacationed with the influential Al Fayed family in France. Once the press caught whiff of the couple's summer romance, tabloids tailed the story fervently, right up until the fatal car crash that killed them both. Following the tragedy, the idea that Diana and Fayed were on the brink of marriage captured the public imagination, largely thanks to certain claims made by those close to the late couple. Many of these suggestions came from Fayed's own family, including his sister Jomana Yassin, who told the Herald days after his death. He did not view her as a princess, but he saw in her a woman he loved and wanted to marry. In later years, Fayed's father, Mohammed Al Fayed, became one of the most vocal proponents of the theory that a proposal had already taken place between his son and the Princess of Wales. Though opinions on the matter vary, one facet of the conspiracy was confirmed during an inquest into Diana's death in 2007. Fayed had indeed purchased a ring for his lady love. On it were the words, "Tell me yes," inscribed in French.